Hello and welcome to the Godscast at Graphic Policy Radio. My name is Stephen Attewell,
And I'm Chris Holcomb.
and this is issue 11, the last issue of Volume 2, Fandemonium. We start with Laura kind of walking home from the gig.
Actually, we start with
Oh, I'm sorry.
uh, a decapitated head.
Oh, yeah, the cover is a decapitated head, which is just like, ooh, it's gory. Um, and I like
And
the
I,
art.
I do have a question here that I
Yeah.
posed to you over instant message that I don't have an answer for. Like, why this is the end of volume 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you get 11 issues in a volume? It's a prime number.
Because it didn't start with it didn't start with issue 1. So the first volume 1 was the first, I think, 6 issues, and then
Okay, and then the second one is 5.
yeah, they're not of like equal length necessarily.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, cool. So yeah, we start with the decapitated head. It's pretty gross. Also, like in a series that is all of the covers have been people's heads and faces and things like that. Um, it's noticeable, the absence of a head.
It's bothering me whose
Yeah,
head
yeah,
that is, or whose non
yeah,
head that.
that is the question.
Go ahead.
Whose neck is that? We then go to Laura walking home from the gig and coming up with sort of a resolution, I guess you could say.
Yeah, sure.
So she has decided not to give up. She's going to click her fingers until she has the best calluses in the world. Um, but like she also decides like she's gonna continue trying to figure out what happened to Lucifer. She's gonna try to help the gods if she can. Um, which is sort of an interesting little moment. Um, and then she walks into the backyard to have a smoke, and who's there but
Or
yeah,
Ananke.
Nanke.
Yeah, I'm doing it too.
Um, and this is kind of instantly a little bit ominous because we've seen what happens when Ananke shows up in people's backyards.
Yeah, and I've never enjoyed Ananke's visits.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, she's there like almost instantly. It's interesting. We almost never see Ananke going from one place to another place. Like she just kind of is there all of a sudden.
is she
I don't know.
omnipresent?
Does
I'm
she
not sure.
teleport? Does she just have like a very, can she fly? Does she have a mini helicopter or whatever? But it is kind of funny that she just seems to have this backyard method of transportation. So we then go to Inanna's residency where he's giving his performance, aka a giant orgy, in a church. Um, which is kind of interesting because like I don't really see like mats on the floor or anything like that. And like hardwood floors, just feels like a lot of people are going to wind up with bruised
I mean,
knees for the
it's
end of the night.
I don't s- I don't see anyone uh kneeling though. Everyone is
And
standing.
they've got very strong knees.
Yeah, that's well. I mean, I assume there's some like physical properties to the god's blessing, and
Mm.
that Dionysus. We've seen everyone act like they're on MDNA, and uh, yeah, but this orgy scene, it reminds me of the orgy scene from
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Matrix
Oh, that's a
Reloaded.
really. I mean, obviously, with
And the fact that they're all standing, it sort of suggests that like, yeah, this is an orgy, but it's also a worship thing. You're not This is not for pleasure.
I
This is
mean,
a
I think it's
ritual.
probably a little bit of both. And
I mean, it's not that they don't enjoy
yeah,
it, but
there's a
there's
purpose.
decorum to
It's not
maintain.
just sex. Um,
Hmm.
so we then cut to Baphomet being a bit of a voyeur, and once again, kind of talking himself into this, sort of psyching himself up. Uh,
Yeah, he needs to give himself a
yeah.
pep talk before he murders someone. Like Baphomet, you're not even good at being
Yeah, he's
evil. This
not.
is you're just worthless.
And one of the things I think is kind of funny is he, like, what he hits on ultimately is that, like, Inanna is enjoying being a god, and that pisses him off because clearly he's not.
Yeah, he's bad at getting people to
Yeah,
worship
I
him.
mean,
He's a relatively new god,
yeah,
right? He's
we
not
like
been
we saw
around
his
for as
first
long.
performance in, what was that, issue 2, issue 3?
Yeah, I feel like I'm remembering that now, and he's jealous and angry that he's not as loved and can't put on a performance as well as everyone else. So of course, like if he was a gamer, he'd be paying for loot boxes and stuff. He
Right.
wants
Yeah.
to quick ride to the top.
By the way, one little detail that I really like is, so in the page in which he decides to kill Inanna, and like he pulls out his fire stick and he like jumps down from the balcony. Do you notice what's happening with the constellations behind Inanna?
I see one of them
Yeah,
turning orange, but I'm
that's a
not sure.
representation of Baphomet's sigil, which is the goat head with the two crossed swords. So,
Hmm. And
I mean,
should I
let me
recognize the
see.
other
I'm taking
symbols?
a second look at them now. I mean, there's like a bird one that looks like Minerva. There's one that looks vaguely like a goat head that looks like Baal. There's one that's like a pointy star, which is probably uh, uh, um, Amaterasu.
Is that a
Yeah.
Nana?
I can't
Oh,
place all of
Amaterasu.
them, but like it what it suggests to me is that, like, remember, um he can do divination through the stars. So he knows that, like, Baphomet is
That's right.
about to
Okay.
jump him, and that's how, like, he kind of nopes out of the fight. In this amazing spray of, like, I don't know, like starlight glitter. I don't know what you call that, like pink and white dots.
I'm not sure either. It's reminiscent
Yeah,
of.
yeah, I can see
It looks
that
like
too.
fireworks to me.
And then we kind of have this, like, interesting fight sequence between, like, darkness and fire on the one hand, and like starlight on the other. Um,
Yeah, with a
yeah,
pinks and purples against
I love the
or
color.
red and orange is
And I also really like
interesting
his
palette
thing about,
choice.
like, I kind of admire that, like, Inanna kind of never gives up on his shtick, where he's like, "Hey, look, Baphomet, I like people to join in, but, like,
Hmm.
you know, you got to be cool to play." So, none of that. And then, like, later on, he's like, "Hey, I've never been in a
Hmm.
fight before. This is kind of fun. I mean, I'm kind of digging this." And then, of course, like, equally in character, right? What does Baphomet go for? Like, "Oh, I'm gonna animate the crucifix and, like, turn Jesus Christ upside down because I'm dark and Satanist." Like, God, this man so listened to death metal.
That's I wouldn't. I would not say this death metal. He listens to K-pop
Okay,
and
all right, yeah.
likes
I
the
like
death
that.
metal
I like
posters.
that.
That's two very different
He's
things.
got the posters on the wall, but, like, in secret, he really wants to listen to K-pop. Um. Whereas, like, I feel that,
Right.
like, I mean, obviously, Inanna is definitely all about some Prince, but I feel like, everything in that kind of vein. I bet he'd listen to a lot of Janelle Monáe. In terms of more contemporary stuff. Yeah.
So are we now that pointing out Prince is actually a very good
Hmm.
observation. Are we supposed to make connections with
Yeah. I mean,
existing
they've talked about,
musicians?
like, that, like, Ball definitely has some
Okay.
links to. I mean, not in every case, because, like, who the fuck is Lucifer? Um. Um. Oh, yeah. Obviously, duh. Sorry.
Lucifer's
I was
David
thinking of, like,
Bowie. And I was getting
Yeah,
very
and
strong Rihanna vibes from Sakme.
God,
So
Amaterasu is like Florence from Florence and the Machine. Not all of them work though. Like, I don't know who
that's a
Minerva
good one.
is.
I actually get Robin
Yeah, but
vibes
like I
from
think in a
Minerva,
lot of
but that
cases,
could
so
just
I
be her
mean,
haircut.
it's pretty fucking clear with Inanna that like he is Prince. Like, you know, his attitude, his kind of life
Yeah,
philosophy, his wardrobe, um, you know, everything. So then we get this like really great conversation between um Baphomet and Inanna, where Inanna sort of says, you know, look, um, you're trying to take my life, but that's not the same thing as living. Like that, I mean, from his perspective, that like the time that he's had to
hmm
live being a god and being unafraid of like being, you know, the gender, the sexuality, the performativeness that they want to be, you know, that means so much more than just sort of you know, a number of desperate years, um, you know, trying to run from the Reaper.
right. And it's a quality of life thing. Like Inanna's enjoying himself, whereas Baphomet is just getting frustrated at what
Yeah,
he
and
doesn't
that's
have.
the kind of funny thing is like, you want more of this? Like you're kind of miserable as it is, man. Um, so then we pull out to a giant explosion.
Yeah, all the orgy
Yeah,
goers are
that's the thing. I don't
gone,
know.
I
Like,
guess.
did they make it out the door when the two gods were fighting? Like, I hope so, because otherwise that was a
I mean,
mass murder.
I feel like Inanna's the yeah, I feel like Inanna's the type of person to uh teleport them
Oh,
away,
you
Doctor
know what?
Manhattan
We actually
style.
do see, like, when Anana turns himself into Starlight to avoid that first blow, you see everyone running out the door naked. So that's going to be a hell of a thing for the police to
Okay.
find. It's like, okay, all of a sudden there's hundreds of naked people in the streets, and then a building explodes.
I feel like with the gods having been around for a few months, the police have
Yeah,
had some
well, I
time
mean,
to adjust
they did do a police
to
raid on the
the.
underground, right? Which did not end well.
hmm
Um,
Yeah, I feel like expectations are going to be pretty wild at this
yeah.
point.
So we then go to Inanna. Excuse me. God, I'm getting messed up with the first syllable of the name being the same. Ananke.
Well,
Yeah,
luckily we don't have to worry about that much
yeah.
longer, do we?
So Ananke like is talking with Laura, and she's like trying to get her to like come around on being okay with like not being a god. That it's like it's okay, you know. I like this line. Victory is what matters, not that the victory is yours. You know, you're the lucky one. You escaped. You're not dying. Um, and then
hmm
like she sort of says, "But I still want it. Like, even though I know I shouldn't want it, I want it." And then
Right.
surprise.
Yeah, I had to
Okay.
take a break here because I don't know. I'm just not feeling Laura, and I don't want to reward
Well,
her
that might
behavior.
not be an
And
issue in the future because you know, the moment
yeah,
that she steps forward as Persephone, with a pretty rockin' hairdo. I must say, I don't know who she's patterned after at all, because that is a hell of a look. Um,
yeah. I'm trying to think. I've seen someone wear that shirt before, but I don't remember
so
who.
yeah, the moment that like she kind of comes out of it, she sort of says, you know, I thought there were only 12 gods. And Anke says, well, now you know, we both know better. Um, and she wants to go and tell Inanna, but Ananke convinces her like that the first thing that she should do, is to sing, is to perform. And like this is
hmm
this moment for Laura because she sort of says, the plasma in my head cracks my skull. It flows out of me, and I don't understand it. I don't know where it's from, but it's there and undeniable and mine, and I get to share it. and like that's her big moment. And then
Mm-hmm.
we see that hand come in from off the panel, and I have to say, if nothing else, the Wicked and the Divine makes you terrified of people snapping their fingers.
Yeah, but I
Uh-huh.
kind of saw this coming. Like there's no good reason for Ananke to be here and confirm my theory that she's lying about the
Yeah.
rules, unless that means that there's no going to be no witnesses
Yeah.
here.
So yeah, that's the other thing too, is not only does she kill Laura, but like she then decides to wipe out the whole family, the whole building.
Yeah.
Like that's some high collateral damage.
Yeah, and but it's also she's
Yeah,
how
that's
many
true.
thousands of years old? We are but ants to her, so I don't condone it, but I kind of see being an immortal. You start to forget that you were human once, and when you've lived for 1,000 years, taking 30 away from
Yeah, it
someone doesn't
also I
seem
think
like such a
speaks to
big
like
deal.
the stuff from the end of volume 1, where she's sort of saying like, there is nothing that human beings can do to stop us. We have to police ourselves. Like that sort of means she's in charge. Like
Exactly. So yeah, I think she's running a god
a god scam.
blood bank
Okay,
ish.
so yeah, there's the end of volume 2. The big twist, all of a sudden our protagonist is dead. Um and
I can't say I'm sad to see Laura gone. Like it sucks for her as a character, but I didn't feel she was that compelling, and I feel like
mm,
she's a much better narrator when she's silent and learning rather
mm,
than trying to
okay.
become a god. So
Gotcha.
she's a better
Okay.
narrator than she is a
So
protagonist.
we then okay. Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Wait, I do have a disappointment I want to talk about though. Uh, Persephone is of the entire Greek pantheon, I think, is the one most
Okay, interesting.
ripe for a reboot because Persephone
Yep.
is the daughter of Demeter, wife of Hades. She only ever exists in myth in her relationship to those two. So, like, I've seen some fun twists on her, like when Rosario Dawson played her and how she hates her husband. And then there's I think it was Xena,
Yeah.
where
There were
when she gets kidnapped by Hades, she's sort of into it. So, there's just a lot of fruitful ground in there in
yeah.
that she's not someone who's very well established in canon. So, it was really disappointing for me to see her appear for a
Yeah.
panel and then get
There
burned.
was a folk song that I remember listening to, which has unfortunately escaped my memory, but it's basically a song about Persephone, that like she wasn't actually abducted, and that like she didn't want to go, or sorry, she didn't want to go back home. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, it's kind of an interesting take.
Right.
Yeah, that's the end of the issue. That's the end of the volume. We will be back with the volume, the beginning of volume 3, which is titled "Commercial Suicide." So, before I go into spoilers, Chris, do you want to plug your stuff?
Sure thing. So, if you like hearing my voice and my snarky take on things, come check out Unspoiled Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where we're deep into season 6 now, and we're getting close to lots of stuff. I just had the musical episode, guys. I was not prepared for that. Yeah, so if you like this format where one person is an expert and the other is
Okay,
coming
cool.
to it for the first time,
So I'll give you a
give us
5
a
count, and then
listen.
I'll talk about spoilers for a bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, um, couple big things here. I mean, number one, in the wake of the whole historical stuff from the past couple of issues, like the line "I've missed you" is clearly part of this whole cycle between Ananke and Persephone, where like Ananke always tries to kill Persephone. Sometimes she succeeds, sometimes she fails, and the cycle continues. Um, the other kind of like continuing question in all of this is like, what is Laura? If she's not a god, if being a god is something that you can pick up and put down, what is she? And I continue to think that like this whole metaphor about plasma in your head is about like the creative process and being a writer. So we'll leave it there. We'll pick up next time with the beginning of Volume 3, which, as I said, is one of my favorites. And I'll see you then. You can find me at Twitter at Stephen Attewell. You can find me at WordPress or on Tumblr at Race for the Iron Throne. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for watching the previous video from Graphic Policy Television. Just by watching, you help support our site. Thank you so much. Now, if you're watching these videos, you probably care about geeky things like movies, television, comic books, toys, games, video games, you name it. You can go and subscribe right now to our YouTube channel to stay in touch and catch all the new videos, or check out our website at graphicpolicy.com. There's a nice link on this end of the video. But as always, thank you for watching. Keep on rocking and keep it geeky.